It is now 7:20, and a Hertfordshire charity is making a real impact on the lives of refugees and asylum seekers. Herts Welcomes Refugees has just been awarded the King's Award for Voluntary Service 2025. It's the highest honour a voluntary group can get, equivalent to an MBE. Joining me now are Helen Singer from the charity and Layla, originally from Sudan, who was supported by the charity and now volunteers with them. Good evening to you both, Helen and Layla.
Hello, good evening.
Thank you so much
for joining.
Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. Helen, let's start with you, if we may. First of all, for those that might not know, what does Herts Welcomes Refugees do?
Yes, so thanks, Amir. We welcome and support refugees and asylum seekers right across the county. We've now got around 200 volunteers, and they provide practical support to help people connect with their communities and adjust to life here. We've got one paid member of staff, and actually due to national lottery funding, we're recruiting for a director. So the charity's really grown, and we're delighted to receive this award, which is a real tribute to the hard work that the volunteers put in sort of day in and day out to really help people who've fled because of trauma. Yeah,
you've got more than 160 volunteers, if I've got that right.
Yes, it's gone up since the press release. That's
yeah,
right.
Sure.
Yes.
So what kind of roles are they taking on day to day, Helen, these volunteers?
Yes, so it's a variety of roles. Volunteers can befriend individual refugees who've come under resettlement schemes. So that's with English conversation or just taking them for coffee, practical support. It makes such a difference, having a friendly person to speak to. And then we also work with asylum seekers in hotels and other facilities, running English classes, helping people navigate the system. We run playgroups, homework clubs, and sometimes some cookery and art just for well-being, because it's pretty traumatic being sort of waiting in limbo while people wait for their claims to be heard. And then we provide access to essential items, like we distribute vouchers for essentials like clothing, because people arrive often with nothing but the clothes they stand up in. And as you know, asylum seekers can't really work. And then have drop-in sessions with practical advice and support. And some of our volunteers, like Layla, are refugees themselves. So Layla will tell you about what she's been doing as well.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I'll come to Layla very soon. Yes. I just wanted to just pick up on something you mentioned there, because when someone arrives in Hertfordshire, with no local network, what's the biggest gap that your volunteers help to bridge, would you say?
Sometimes it's really real basics, like having shoes or clothes to wear or a warm coat. But then very quickly it's language. People are really keen to learn the language and get, start finding their way here. Yes, it's a shame people can't work, but sometimes, like Layla, asylum seekers will volunteer as well.
Yeah. It's wonderful. I mean, congratulations on receiving the King's Award for Voluntary Service. I know how special that is. And what does that recognition mean for the charity, Helen?
Yes, I mean, it is wonderful. I think there's 231 awards this year across the country, but there are only 2 in Hertfordshire, I think. So I think it's just a tribute to the hard work and the dedication, the fact that we're a volunteer-led charity, that we have at the moment just one paid member of staff. Everybody else, the trustees, the management group, all the volunteers are just working out of the goodness of their hearts, really.
Amazing.
And I think because they're really committed and dedicated. So yes, it means a lot to us.
Yeah. And I believe 2 of your volunteers, whoever they may be, I don't know if you've decided yet or not, they'll be invited to a royal garden party at Buckingham Palace. That's next year. It's quite special. I mean, have you decided who might go?
No, I don't know who that will be. Also, there'll be an award and a certificate from our patron, who's His Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of Hertfordshire, Robert Boss, who's always been really supportive. So that will be in Hertfordshire, and then the garden parties next year. But
fantastic.
Yeah, I think everybody's really got to boost the volunteers, because I think it's quite stressful for them as well. Sometimes they're dealing with very difficult situations. Did I mention one of our volunteers wrote a report called Forced to Flee, based on interviews with young men who just arrived in the country, and it just showed that they really had fled for their lives. There's a lot of rhetoric about people just coming for a good life or trying it on, but people who are then granted leave to remain, it is an acknowledgement that they're genuine refugees and that they had no choice but to leave their homes. Sometimes their mothers sent them. So, and then often they're faced with, as we heard even today, with homelessness, because once the Home Office grants refugee status, there's a very short period of time before they are evicted from their Home Office accommodation and then have to, although they can then work, they need to find accommodation, get a job, and there's no obligation on the local authorities to house them unless they've got children. So it's like the beginning of their problems in some sense.
Goodness me.
That's a real problem.
Yeah, I would like to pick up a little later with you about the asylum reforms that have recently taken place. But let me just bring let me just bring Layla in. Layla, thank you again for joining us. So when you first arrived, you're very welcome. When you first arrived here from Sudan, what kind of support did you receive from Herts Welcomes Refugees?
It started off with vouchers, just general advice on how the system works. They also gave me advice on what I should do next, what if I get my decision, what am I supposed to do after my decision, just a general welcome of the area, get to know the volunteers as well and what they provide and all the help they can provide, the asylum seekers who are at the hotels and also the refugees who already got a decision on their claims.
Right. Okay. What part of that support made the biggest difference for you in those early days, would you say?
I think it just gave me a sense of security. Initially, obviously, fleeing a place where I didn't feel safe and coming to somewhere new that I generally don't really know anyone. They welcomed me with open arms, made sure that they would support me with everything that I would need, generally, whether it's clothes, something just to put on during the cold days, or just general advice if I need to find a solicitor or anything like that.
Right.
It just gave this really sense of security that I'm not alone in this process.
And that's huge, isn't it? What an amazing thing to feel in your early days in a country that you are very unfamiliar with. To have that feeling is very, very powerful.
Definitely.
Yeah. And Layla, you now volunteer at an asylum hotel. So what motivated you to give back in that way?
Well, the most rewarding part is seeing the difference that even small acts of support can make in people's lives. Whether it's helping with just simply interpretation, offering advice, or simply just listening to what people have been going through during this process. I think it's wonderful to see people feel hopeful and less alone, and being in a community where people care for each other. And as I noticed during my time there, because of the volunteers, people started helping out. People started caring for each other, even though they're not volunteering, but they're always willing to help each other and stand for each other.
Okay. So, I mean, you see people waiting for decisions on their asylum claims every day, no doubt. What is life like for them while they wait?
It's a very stressful process, to be honest. I've seen people develop mental illnesses, physical illnesses during this wait. Even listening to the new updates that are going on in the asylum system, people have been, they haven't felt safe yet. They don't feel like they have the sense of security that they initially came and asked for. So it's a very stressful process. And I've seen people who have been waiting for years, up to 3 years, just to hear something back and know that they're completely settled and safe.
Yeah. I can't even begin to imagine what that must be like. But knowing that there are people like you helping those that are going through that is quite comforting, I have to say. Layla, thank you. Helen, let me bring you back in. The government, as we touched upon, recently announced new immigration rules. What's your reaction to those changes from the perspective of the people you support?
Yeah, I think we're. I was just going before I answer that, I was just going to say that Layla also is on our advisory board. So we're really lucky to have a group of very committed people like Layla, who, with lived experience of being refugees, who advise us and guide us, as you heard so eloquently just now. So
amazing.
We're very grateful. But yes, in terms of the government proposals, we're pretty horrified. We think it's not compassionate. It's sort of almost blaming people for trying to make a life here. And we follow what the Refugee Council says, which is that the changes would trap refugees and prolonged uncertainty that damage people's long-term security and ability to settle here for years. It would restrict family reunion, heighten the risk of destitution, increase errors in asylum decision-making, and put children in danger, because they're talking about if it's decided that a country is safe, children who could have been born here might then be forced to leave. And if they're in a situation where they're being forced, they might be detained. So it feels draconian and cruel, and not really a way to deal with the problems that the public may have in dealing with, immigration or asylum. Generally, you need to tackle the root problems that other people are facing. But I don't think it's going to help in any way in reducing the boat crossings. Obviously, you need security at our borders, and the gangs need to be tackled, and you need safe routes and quick decisions. But it's going to be very expensive even to have to check somebody's status every 30 months. It seems absolutely self-defeating, really, I would say.
Yeah, and some would say, some will say almost unmanageable, as you mentioned there. It could be, time will tell how this pans out. Just a final question, Helen, because we are running out of time, sadly. But,
yes.
but if listeners want to learn more or maybe volunteer, they're local to you or support your work, where should they go to find out more?
Oh, yes. So we'd love to hear from you if you'd like to join our team of volunteers. Look on our website and just contact us or email inquiries@hertswelcomes.org.uk. We're looking for donations. We've just launched our warm welcome appeal, again, through our website. We've got some lovely e-cards that you can access with refugee artwork that some artists who attended our art sessions have had painted for us. So lots of ways of helping. And follow us on social media, which we would always be grateful for as well, for the support, because it's quite a hostile environment out there.
It is.
Any support is really gratefully received. We also try and, on our website, have real life stories from refugees and volunteers, so that people understand that refugees are just like me and you. They've got lives, families, stories to tell, and that you can't sort of demonize them by looking at them as a whole mess.
Yeah, they've all got stories, of course. Helen, we have to leave it there. Sorry, but I could talk to you for so much longer, and you, Layla. But thank you, Helen. Thank you, Layla, so much.
Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. It's really good to hear about the work that you're doing and your experience, Layla. Thank you both so much for joining us. That's Helen Singer there and Layla from Herts Welcomes Refugees. And that website again is Herts Welcomes, HERTS, as in Hertfordshire, hertswelcomes.org.uk.